Hey guys, gotta get in front here. Okay. First things first, I'm in a different room. That's why there's an echo. Hopefully that doesn't bother you all. But the fire alarm has yet to get batteries put in it in my office, and that's usually where I film, plan to film. But it is still beeping. I can't get it to be fixed, so we're gonna do a video in the spare bedroom. You will probably hear my dogs barking. They want to come upstairs, but there's new carpet up here, and I'm still working on training them to go use the potty outside. So, but today I decided that I would do a story time. It's just bare face, no makeup. I keep breaking out, so I'm not gonna use makeup for a little while. Give my face a break. But I wanted to do a story time about how I had my appendix removed. Also, I'm sick. If I sound a little stopped up, it's just allergies, whatever. But so I don't remember my exact age. I want to say I was 9 or 10. That could be different. I remember it was in 3rd grade, so we'll just go with that. I was in 3rd grade and I hated school. I had really bad separation anxiety. That's a whole other story. But pretty much I was like most kids. I hated school, but I wanted to be with my mom and my dad 24/7, every day of the week, all the time. So I had really bad separation anxiety, and to be able to get to stay home, I would act like I was sick. Now, I did get like weird rashes all the time. I had scarlet fever. I've had chickenpox. Like, when I was little, I did get sick a lot that I didn't fake it, if that makes sense. But anyways, I faked being sick a lot too. My older sister did, and I knew she wasn't sick, but I didn't say anything, and she would get to stay home. So I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna do. So I started watching my older sister and, well, my older sisters, and then that's what I started doing. So I did that a lot. I acted like I was sick. So anyway, that's just to let you guys know why my mom reacted the way that she did. But I had a phone in the 3rd grade because I had really bad separation anxiety. I was adopted, so that's a whole other story as well. But I would run out into the main road and chase my mom every day she dropped me off at school or whatever. I just freaked out all the time. I wanted to be with her 24/7. But anyway, so they got me a phone, and it was like a flip phone, but I used it for one reason only, and that was to call my mother and talk to her from the time I got onto the bus until I got off of the bus at school, because we had like an hour bus drive of picking everybody up from my house to school. We were the second kids picked up on our bus route. But anyway, so I had a cell phone in 3rd grade. That's why, that's a whole other story, but that's just a little bit of why it helped me I never wanted to go to school, but it helped me go to school and not like freak out. So anyway, I don't remember feeling sick at all that morning. I went to school, and my dogs are barking, but I went to school like any other normal day. I probably didn't want to go. I don't really remember how it started out, but I remember at recess time, I felt fine. And that's at like, that was at like 11:30 or 12, during the school day that we would have recess for 3rd graders. That's when it was. So I remember eating lunch and everything, and I felt fine. But when school started, the end of school, so school was out at 3:30 p.m. and at like 3 o'clock, you were done with your schoolwork. School was winding down. And we would play Heads Up, 7-Up, or Hangman, different games like that, while we waited for the buses to get there at 3:30 for us to get on the buses. And they would do the evening announcements. We was playing Heads Up, 7-Up, I think. I don't know why I remember this, but I felt really, like, not really bad, but I felt sick, like my body was aching. And I just went on. I was fine. And within 30 minutes, So from 3 to 3:30, within that time frame, I got on the school bus. Like I said, I had a phone. My older sister was out of school, and I called her because I couldn't get a hold of my mom. And I felt bad. Like, then it went from like body aches to my belly, and it hurt like right here. You cannot even see, but right here, all through the bottom of my belly was hurting so bad. And I freaked out more. That's probably what made it feel worse, but I mean, it felt horrible. But at that time, it was like a bellyache, and I felt like I was gonna get nauseous, or gonna throw up. I felt nauseous, but I never did. But I called my mom, and she didn't answer. So, and she had a job, so she was probably at work then. I don't really remember. But I called my sister, and I'm like, called her. She didn't answer. I called her over and over and over, and she answers, and she's like, "Yes, Sarah," because I called her probably like 10 times. And I was like, "I feel really, really bad." And she's like, "I'll talk to Mom, and you don't have to go to school tomorrow. Just quit calling me." Like, she's a teenage sister. But she was like, "I'll tell Mom to let you stay home tomorrow. Like, you're fine. Just ride the school bus home. You're fine. I'll tell Mom to let you skip." And I was like, "No, like, I feel really bad. Like, my belly hurts really bad." And she's like, "Well, are you on the bus?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the school bus." And she's like, "Well, just wait until you get home, and Mom will give you some medicine." So I was like, "Okay, but I just feel really bad. Like, my belly hurts really bad." They were so used to me faking sick. Like, I faked sick all the time to get to stay at home. So they were used to that. So anyway, we didn't get there until 4:30 or 5. Sometimes it was like we would be on the bus for an hour and a half to 2 hours from the school to our house. We were the first picked up in the morning, the last dropped off at night, at the after school, whatever. So I'm just going to go with 4:30. I got off the school bus, but before I got off the school bus, also, when I was a kid, if my mom was like, "Clean your room," I cleaned it. Like, I've always been not a clean freak, but I love to clean. So I wouldn't stuff toys in the closet or clothes, and I would hang them up. I would do all that. How this fits into the story is, my belly on the way home within that hour, got very much worse. Like, it hurt so much worse than it did at like 3:30. And so I curled up in the fetal position in the school bus seat, and there was a girl sitting next to me. I don't know who she was, but I was like this, if that makes sense. And here's the seat to the school bus, where your back goes, and I was like this. And I know she was probably thinking, "This girl is weird," but she got off the school bus, and I was like so relieved, and I got into a fetal position in the full seat, laid down in it like this, upwards instead of sideways. I was like upwards in a fetal position. My knees was like to here, like I was all in a ball, but it didn't help. And I was like, I'm figuring something out. And I was so little that I lived in the country, so if you hit a bump on a school bus and you're laying this way, I'm gonna fall into the floor. So, but that was the only way, is laying down this way with my knees to my chest, laying on my side, was the only way I could get it to ease up any. So I was like, I was itty bitty. So I was like, if I do that, I'm gonna fall on the floor. But I did it. Bus driver hit the brakes. I almost hit the floor. So I got down in the floor of the school bus, and I know that is so nasty. I don't know why I did that. Well, I do. It hurt really bad. And I knew that the bars at the bottom, I could hold on to something, the bars at the bottom of the seat or something in the floor, but it hurt. So I did that for like 20 minutes of the bus ride. And I'm so glad the school bus driver didn't wreck or something. But like, that was the only way I could get it to ease up at all, was to get in the fetal position on my side and lay in the floor. That is so disgusting, I know, but it helped. So my sister was like, I have a bunch of siblings, but one of my other sisters was on the school bus, and she's like, "Why are you in the floor?" And I'm like, "Because my belly's hurting. I told you all, my belly is hurting." So she's like, "Okay, well, we're here. We're going to be at our house." And I'm like, "Okay, we have to walk up a really long driveway." So she's like, "We're almost there." We wasn't there yet, but she was like, "We're almost there. We're on our road," whatever. So I call my mom. And I'm like, I'm hurting really bad. And she's like, Sarah, you're not going to school tomorrow, because she thought I was faking it. My sister, Ashta, had done talked to her, I'm sure, so they thought I was faking it. But I was like, please, just whatever, come get me. And she's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm almost to our road, and we're almost there. And she's like, well, I'll pick you up at the bottom of the driveway, so that way all of us didn't have to walk up there, walk all the way up the driveway. So she picks me up. We get to the house. It's not even like 15 minutes goes by. We're at the house. The school bus dropped me off. My mom drives me home. And she was like, come on. So she put me in her bed with like big blankets on me, and she gave me medicine. And I'm sure that at this point she realized I was really in pain. Like, she's told me that she realized then, because it hurt and it just kept progressing, getting worse and worse. And I remember she gave me Tylenol, and it eased up for like 15 minutes maybe after the medicine, 10 minutes after I got the medicine. It eased up some. And then it was like within 5 minutes after it eased up, it was way, way worse. Like, it went from down here to like all over my chest, from like here down to the bottom of my belly, burnt. It ached. It felt like it was on fire. Like, literally, like, not heartburn. It felt it was on fire. And I didn't feel hot except here. Like, it was burning. So I told my mom. And she was like, well, let's get let's get you in the bathtub. You don't feel like you have a fever. You probably have the stomach virus. Let's get you in the bathtub. Get in the bathtub, sit in some warm water, and see if it eases up. It did nothing. So after about 30 minutes, that was 30 minutes after she gave me medicine, which should have eased it up. It was children's Tylenol and the warm bath. Usually then I'm done, especially because I hate getting up in the mornings during school. We would have to get up at like 5:30 to get on the bus, I think. So I was always really tired. So used to, if I was sick, she would give me medicine, I'd lay down in bed, and I'd go to sleep. But after she did all, I took a bath and sat in warm water, and the medicine didn't work, she was like, okay. So she called my dad, and she's like, I got to take Sarah to the hospital. Her belly is hurting really bad. At this point, I'm crying. Like, I'm like, Mom, it hurts, Mom. It hurts so bad. And she's like, okay. And so she took me to the ER. We got there at like 5:30, probably an hour or so later. Maybe a little sooner than that. But we get to the hospital, sat in the waiting room forever. Then I started throwing up, because at this point, I guess, is when the appendix started to explode. So I ran to the bathroom and I was throwing up. I was in really bad pain. I don't know how long it took them. It felt like hours and hours, but I don't think it was that long, or my mom probably would have took me to another hospital. But it felt like it took them forever. And eventually I get back in there to the room. They don't weigh me or nothing. Like, at this point, they're just trying to figure out why I'm throwing up and why I'm hurting so bad. And they didn't do anything except put me in a hospital bed. And they did a CT scan, I think. Yeah, I don't know. First thing they did was gave me pain medicine, which didn't help, but it made me really, really loopy. So I don't remember much, but I know that they came in and they talked to my mom. They're like, she's going to have emergency surgery. Her appendix are exploding. So this was my first time ever getting an IV. Like, the first time I'd been in a hospital was going to have like, to keep the IV in instead of just for blood or something, to get blood work done. So I remember I don't know who he was. I don't remember his name, but he was the sweetest. Like, I guess he was a CNA or a nurse. But he did my IV, and it was my first time getting one that they was going to have to, like, hook everything up into, not just take blood and take it out. So he was like, what's your favorite animal? And I was like, dogs. And he's like, what kind of dogs do you have? Do you have any? And I'm like, I have a wiener dog. And we literally, the whole time he did it, I didn't even know, which I was loopy too. But I remember he sat there and talked to me over and over again about my dog. How old is she? Do you have any other wiener dogs? Do you have any other dogs in general? Like, that was sweet, because it made me not think about what was going on. Because at this point, because they hooked me up for medicine, or maybe they gave it to me through the mouth. I took it but I don't really remember. But I just remember that I believe they had said I was having surgery. And he just kept my mind off of everything. So anyway, my cousin had his removed. I just want to point this out. He had his removed this year and went home the same day or the next day maybe. And I know someone else that had theirs removed like 2 weeks ago. But anyway, they had theirs removed and went home the same day and started school back 3 days later. I don't know if maybe it was because I was littler or because my cousins exploded just like mine did. They had erupted. So I don't know if that makes, I guess maybe they've advanced in how they do it now or something. But I got the surgery done. Everything went fine. I was loopy for like a few days. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Then for 2 days, and then 2 days and nights. And then on the 3rd day, I was released. I went home, and I don't remember what month that happened in, but I do know I was out of school for like 2 to 3 months. I went back to school for the last week. I mean, I did homebound is what they call it, I guess. But I did that during that time. But I actually went back to school the last week of school is when I went back after my surgery. But that could have been because, one, I was really little. Like, I was like 8 or 9, 10 in that area. But also my body. Like, I've always been really, really skinny and short. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Because I was way younger. My cousin was 16. I think he's 16 or 17 when he had his removed. And so was the other girl. So I don't know if that makes a difference. But anyway, that's the story of how I had my appendix removed. I have 3 scars from it because now they do laser. I do know that. But I don't really know if that leaves a scar or not. I don't think it does. But I have a scar right below my belly button, like that big maybe. And then right here, right at my waist, I have 2 scars about the same size. They did 3 cuts and then took them out. Some funny points to the story. One of the things is, I guess when I was under anesthesia, I don't know how to even say that word. But I was knocked out. Like, they were doing surgery on me. And I asked the doctor the surgeon for my heart rate. And they gave it to me, because the next day they gave it to me, and I was like, what is that? And the next day they gave me pictures of my appendix when they were removing them, like in my body. And I'm like, what is this? And they came in there to check on me, and they brought it to me when I was actually awake. So I was like, what's going on? And he's like, this is your pictures of your appendix and your heart rate. And I'm like, okay. He said, when we was doing the surgery, you was talking up a storm. And I was like, well, that's me. But he was like, you asked for your heart rate and pictures of your appendix. And I was like, what in the world? Who am I? So I was like, okay. And I kept all that. Like, I know that sounds weird, but it was just like, that was the first surgery I ever had. My dad got there later that night because he was at work. But, like, he got there later that night, and he stayed there until he had to leave for work the next morning. And he came back the next day. And the 3rd day when I was released was his birthday. So it was like a surprise to him because I called him and I was like, your birthday present, but I'm coming home. But anyway, because I had other siblings. So obviously, you know, somebody had to take care of them. But that is the story of how I got my appendix removed. It was very scary. Now, if I get a bellyache or anything, I'm not like, oh my God, my appendix. I don't like that. But it scares me. And I hate to throw up. Anybody does. But, like, if I feel nauseous, I don't even know. I just hate to feel nauseous at all. Because every time I get nauseous, every time my belly is upset, every time I get the stomach virus, obviously it doesn't hurt as bad if you have appendicitis as if you have appendicitis. But it's like, I freak out. I'm just like, no, it makes me uncomfortable now. Like, super uncomfortable, because it just takes me back to that time of when I had appendicitis. But that is the story for my first surgery that I ever had and how all of that went. I know this video is really long, but I kind of had to think through what I remembered and everything like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I am sorry none of my videos have thumbnails. I have made about 5 thumbnails for each video, tried every one of them, and YouTube will not take them. So if you all have any suggestions on an app for a phone or a computer, anything like that that I can make a thumbnail with, please let me know down below. And I will hopefully be making a vlog soon. If you all have any video ideas, make sure to comment those below too. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!